The series opens with Liu getting ready for her very first day of college. Her parents, Sompoj and Suni, help her pack her belongings as she prepares to move into a new place near campus. After undergoing plastic surgery, Liu now has a completely new face, and with it comes a new sense of confidence. She believes this is her chance to finally live a better life, far from the painful memories of her school days. This is Beauty Newbie. When she arrives at the chemistry department, that confidence starts to fade. Liu feels nervous about stepping into the classroom, so she hesitates by the door, quietly observing the other female students. She finds herself judging their appearances, trying to guess how natural their beauty is. As she overhears her classmates talking about the most popular and beautiful girl on campus, her anxiety grows even stronger. At that moment, a guy named Guy approaches and calls her out for blocking the doorway. Liu is shocked to see him there. He is someone from her middle school days, the same person who used to mock her for her looks. The unexpected reunion immediately brings back old memories she would rather forget. Not long after, Guy enters the classroom. Even though he is handsome and popular, there is something strange about him. Many students do not seem to like him. When Liu finally walks into the room, she keeps her head down, still feeling insecure and afraid that someone might recognize who she used to be. Meanwhile, Guy cannot help but notice her, quietly watching her from a distance. Then, out of nowhere, a beautiful and well-known girl named Faye approaches Liu. She warmly introduces herself and invites Liu to sit with her at an empty seat in the front row. The gesture surprises Liu, and for the first time, she feels like she might actually belong. After class, Faye mentions that Guy has been staring at Liu the whole time. Just as Guy begins to walk toward them, Faye quickly pulls Liu away and leads her out of the classroom. The two of them head to a prayer area, where Liu excitedly shouts her dream of becoming a famous perfume creator. She does not realize how loud she is until the lecturer scolds her, leaving her embarrassed. Despite that, Faye continues to be friendly. She invites Liu to be her friend and introduces her to her circle, including Mimi and Paula. While Liu begins to feel accepted, Guy remains in the background, quietly observing everything from afar. The next day, the chemistry students gather at a cafe for a social event. It is meant to help everyone get to know each other and to choose a class representative. In one corner, Saint and his friends are talking about Faye's beauty and popularity, but Saint's attention is actually drawn to Liu instead. After a round of voting based on looks, Anne announces that Guy has received the highest number of votes, making him the head of the chemistry department. Then they hold another vote to choose a female representative. Surprisingly, both Faye and Liu end up with the same number of votes. Feeling insecure, Liu asks her friends to choose Faye instead. But Faye refuses, insisting that Liu deserves the position more. She praises Liu for her intelligence and even calls her naturally beautiful. Her words quickly influence everyone, and soon, most of the students, except for Guy, agree that Liu should take the role. The pressure overwhelms Liu. Panicking, she tries to reject the position, but in the end, she blurts out the truth. She admits that her beauty is the result of plastic surgery. The room falls silent as everyone is shocked by her confession. Unable to face them any longer, Liu runs away, filled with embarrassment. Not long after, Guy approaches Liu outside the cafe. She immediately feels uneasy, convinced that he still looks down on her and recognizes who she used to be. But instead of mocking her, Guy gives her a warning. He tells her that Faye is not someone she should trust. According to him, Faye only got close to Liu to boost her own popularity. He also reveals that Faye has known about Liu's plastic surgery all along, and that her kindness has been nothing more than an act to maintain her perfect image. At the same time, back inside the cafe, Faye continues to play her role flawlessly. She tells everyone that she does not care about Liu's past and still supports her as the department representative. Soon, the students begin comparing natural beauty with beauty achieved through surgery. In that moment, Faye quietly enjoys the attention, knowing that most people still favor her as the naturally beautiful one. Meanwhile, outside, Liu struggles to process what Guy just told her. Despite his warning, she refuses to believe him and decides to walk away. Guy tries to stop her, but suddenly Saint steps in and interrupts. Guy tells Saint to stay out of it, but Liu, who does not even know Saint yet, asks him to keep Guy away from her. A little later, Liu heads back to her apartment alone. On the way, she starts to feel like someone is following her, which makes her quicken her pace. But it turns out the person behind her is Saint, who happens to live right next door to her. The next morning, Liu is on a video call with her parents. She puts on a brave face and tells them that she has already made a lot of friends at college. Out of nowhere, Saint appears in the background and casually greets her parents, revealing that he already knows them. Lou is caught off guard, especially when Saint starts talking about what happened the night before. Embarrassed and annoyed, she gets upset at him for exposing her situation. Her parents, however, take it differently and ask Saint to look after her. Back on campus, Lou continues to feel grateful for Faye's attention and kindness. She believes she has finally found a good friend. Around this time, a guy named Mac suddenly approaches her. It turns out Saint asked him to keep an eye on Lou. Watching from a distance, Guy grows visibly irritated seeing Lou getting close to both Mac and Faye. Anne notices Guy's concern and shares her own suspicion. She has a bad feeling about Faye and believes she might be planning something against Lou. Guy agrees and asks Anne to look into Mac, who seems to be getting unusually close to Lou. The story then shifts back to the past. Ever since middle school, Guy had always been paying attention to Lou, even though she kept her distance from him. One day, he asked her to help him find a suitable perfume. They went to a perfume shop together, and after Lou carefully chose a scent, Guy tried it, quietly taking in the fragrance she had picked for him. Back in the present, things get tense in the chemistry lab. Faye is busy organizing a petition, and almost everyone supports it except for Guy and Anne. Lou does not like Guy's attitude at all, especially when he openly criticizes Faye. He insists that Faye's constant praise toward Lou is not genuine, but a way to eventually bring her down. Faye quickly denies everything, keeping her calm and convincing image intact. After class, Guy tries once again to warn Lou about both Faye and Mac, but this time, Lou loses her patience. She believes Guy's the worst person of all, and she brings up the past, reminding him of how he mocked her perfume choice back in middle school. Guy tries to explain that she misunderstood what really happened. He admits that he had always wanted to be her friend, even back then. But Lou never trusted him, still hurt by what she believed he said at the perfume shop. She also points out that she never saw him stand up for her when she was being bullied. What Lou does not realize is that Guy had always been helping her behind the scenes. Even at the perfume shop, he had intended to befriend her, but before he could explain himself, Lou had already taken his words the wrong way and walked away. Despite finally telling the truth, Guy's explanation changes nothing. Lou firmly rejects him and asks him to stay out of her life. Hearing that, Guy quietly accepts it and walks away. On another day, Guy and Anne accidentally overhear Mac talking with his friend. Mac admits that he plans to use Lou as a backup option, since he believes he has no chance with someone as popular as Faye. Anne urges Guy to step in and protect Lou, but Guy refuses, remembering that Lou specifically told him not to interfere in her life anymore. Later that afternoon in the cafeteria, Mac approaches Lou while she is having lunch with Faye and the others. He asks to speak with her privately, then boldly confesses his feelings and asks her to be his girlfriend. Lou is completely caught off guard. For the first time, someone is openly expressing interest in her. Meanwhile, Faye watches everything unfold. She forces a smile in front of her friends, hiding her frustration as she realizes she is losing attention to Lou. When Lou excuses herself to calm down before giving Mac an answer, Faye immediately takes the opportunity. She approaches Mac and confesses her own feelings to him. Mac is stunned, especially since Faye is the girl he truly wants. Not long after, Lou returns, ready to accept Mac's confession. But things take a sudden turn. Now that Faye has shown interest in him, Mac immediately rejects Lou, brushing it off as if it was all just practice. Lou is left hurt and humiliated, realizing she was being played. Faye steps in right away, pretending to comfort her and acting like a caring friend. At the same time, Guy, who has been watching everything, can no longer hold back his anger. He deliberately trips Mac, causing him to fall. Feeling embarrassed in front of everyone, Mac lashes out, and the two of them end up fighting in the cafeteria.
Run! Run!
Because of the incident, both of them are called in by Professor Mean for a warning. During the confrontation, Saint arrives and presents a recording of the fight, clearly showing that Mac started it. Mac is furious that Saint does not defend him, but Saint instead calls him out for failing his responsibility. He reminds Mac that he was supposed to look after Lou, yet his actions only ended up hurting her. At the same time, Guy feels indebted to Saint for stepping in and defending him in front of Professor Mean. But things only get worse between him and Lou. She grows even more distant, especially after hearing Guy accuse Faye of being behind all the problems she has been facing. Meanwhile, Faye carefully protects her image. She convinces Lou that everything she did was for her sake. She claims that she confessed her feelings to Mac only to test whether he was truly serious about Lou. She insists that she did not want Lou to get hurt or played by him. Hearing this, Lou feels touched and begins to trust Faye even more, believing she has a genuinely caring friend by her side. On the other hand, Guy returns home carrying his own frustrations. When he notices a fallen family photo, he reacts emotionally. Instead of picking it up, he tears his mother's picture apart and throws it away, revealing the unresolved anger he still holds. The next day at campus, Faye continues her manipulation. She tells Mac that she cannot date him because Lou is deeply in love with him. This instantly turns Mac against Lou, without him realizing that Faye is deliberately driving a wedge between them. Feeling annoyed, Mac starts digging into Lou's past and eventually finds photos of her before the surgery. He plans to use them as leverage. Soon after, Mac calls Lou to meet him in a private room. There, he pressures her to give up her feelings for him so he can pursue a relationship with Faye. Lou is confused by his sudden change, but things quickly escalate when Mac threatens to expose her old photos if she refuses to step aside. Not long after, Faye arrives and pretends to sacrifice herself. She acts as if she is reluctantly accepting Mac's feelings for Lou's sake. Seeing this, Lou feels guilty and cannot bear to watch Faye suffer. She even tells Mac that he can do whatever he wants, including releasing her past photos, as long as he does not force Faye. This only makes Mac more frustrated, as Lou continues to stand in the way of what he wants. At that moment, Guy suddenly appears and attacks Mac for mistreating Lou. The fight leaves Guy injured, his palm bleeding from the impact. But the damage is already done. Lou's old photos are released, spreading quickly and humiliating her in front of everyone. Overwhelmed and devastated, she runs out of the room and jumps into a taxi, with Guy chasing after her. However, when Guy finally arrives at her apartment, he is met with a painful sight. Lou is already there, crying in Saint's arms. Watching them together, Guy feels a surge of jealousy and heartbreak, ignoring the injury on his hand as he quietly walks away. Disappointed and hurt, Guy heads to a nearby convenience store to treat his wound. By coincidence, he runs into Saint there. Saint casually points out that Guy arrived too late, which is why he had to witness Lou leaning on someone else. Trying to regain his pride, Guy claims that he knows Lou better because they share a past from middle school. But Saint does not back down. He confidently says that as Lou's neighbor, he is the one who gets to be closer to her now. Hearing that only makes Guy more irritated, as the rivalry between them continues to grow. The next day, Guy and Mac are called in again by Professor Mean because of their fight. Both of them receive a serious warning, along with the threat of punishment if they cause trouble again. After leaving the office, Guy questions Mac about how he managed to get Lou's old photos. Mac casually admits that he got them from one of Faye's fan accounts. Determined to find out the truth, Guy decides to investigate. During class, he joins one of Faye's fan groups using a fake account. He sends a few messages while quietly watching Faye, who is busy interacting with her fans. At one point, Guy becomes convinced that Faye is about to spread Lou's photos in the group. He immediately confronts her, hoping to catch her in the act. But things do not go as planned. It turns out the photos were shared by a fan, not Faye herself. Realizing he accused her without solid proof, Guy feels embarrassed and frustrated. As he leaves the classroom, he cannot hide his disappointment in himself for failing to expose what he still believes is the truth. Meanwhile, Lou chooses not to attend class after the humiliation she experienced. Saint stays by her side, trying to comfort her. He takes her to his family's perfume room, hoping to lift her spirits. There, they talk about an invitation to a party hosted by Linda, a well-known perfume business owner in Thailand. That night, Lou and Saint attend the party together. As they enjoy the atmosphere, Saint mentions that he has worked with Linda before. Hearing this excites Lou even more, since Linda has always been someone she admires. While exploring the event, Lou tries one of the new perfumes and recalls one of Linda's famous ideas, describing perfume as a kind of invisible beauty. By coincidence, Linda overhears her and is impressed that Lou still remembers it so clearly. After the party, Linda takes an interest in Lou and invites her to continue their conversation at a cafe. Lou is thrilled to have the chance to speak directly with someone she looks up to. During their talk, Linda opens up about her personal life, sharing how much she misses her son after being separated from him for a long time. At that same moment, Guy arrives at the cafe with Anne. He is shocked to see Liu sitting with Linda because Linda is actually his mother. Linda is overjoyed to see her son again, but Guy's reaction is the complete opposite. He is clearly uncomfortable and does not welcome the meeting. He even warns Linda not to use Liu as a way to get close to him. Without saying much more, he tries to pull Liu away, but she refuses to leave. Frustrated, Guy ends up walking out on his own. Outside the cafe, Anne scolds him for being disrespectful towards someone older. Guy brushes it off and finally reveals the truth. The woman they just met is his mother, the one who left him in the past. Back inside, Liu apologizes to Linda for Guy's behavior. Realizing that Liu is someone close to her son, Linda asks for her help. She hopes Liu can become a bridge between them and help repair their broken relationship. Elsewhere at home, Guy's younger sister Gail is busy live streaming as she sells clothes online. She even pulls Guy into the stream, using his good looks to help promote her products and attract more viewers. On another day, Liu asks Guy to meet her at a cafe so they can talk about Linda. But every time she tries to bring it up, Guy quickly changes the subject, talking about random things happening on campus. In the middle of that, he casually reveals something important. He says he has already removed all of Liu's old photos from the internet so she can return to campus without fear. Hearing this, Liu is genuinely touched by how much he cares about her. Still, she tries again to bring up Linda. This time, Guy realizes what she is doing. He already knows that Liu is trying to arrange a meeting between him and his mother, who is actually nearby. When Linda finally appears, Guy reacts strongly. He accuses her of using Liu just to get close to him. Before leaving, he lets out his frustration, admitting that he feels abandoned because Linda chose her career and her boyfriend over her family. After Guy storms out, Liu quickly follows him. As they talk, Guy finally opens up about the past. He explains that back at the perfume shop years ago, he said he hated the scent Liu chose because it reminded him of his mother. That perfume was tied to painful memories. He recalls how, as a child, he witnessed Linda becoming consumed by her work with perfume, leading to constant conflict and eventually her divorce from his father. The next day, Liu meets Linda again at a cafe. This time, she learns the full story behind everything. Linda reveals that she lost her sense of smell after an accident. In the past, she often argued with her husband, Krokphone, because they had very different views on life. Even after starting a family, Linda wanted to continue her career as a perfumer. But Krokphone wanted her to stay home and focus on being a full-time wife and mother. One day, during an argument, Krokphone accidentally caused her to fall. The accident led to brain damage, which took away her ability to smell. For someone whose entire life revolved around fragrance, it was devastating. At the same time, Krokphone saw it as a chance to keep her at home. The pressure of that life only made things worse, and eventually he suggested they separate. Despite how painful it was, Linda chose to divorce him, even though it meant being separated from her children. After hearing everything, Liu feels determined to help. She rushes to campus to talk to Guy. Not long after, Guy goes to meet Linda at her office. He admits that he knows Liu came to him because Linda asked her to. Linda assumes that Guy still cannot accept her, and stops hoping for reconciliation. Even so, she asks him to take care of his younger sister, Gail. At that moment, Guy does something unexpected. He asks Linda to smell the flowers he brought. At first, she refuses, but he insists until she finally admits the truth. It was Krokphone who caused her to lose her sense of smell. Despite everything, Linda quietly shares that all she has ever wanted is a simple moment with her children, even if it is just a meal together. Hearing this changes something in Guy. He is deeply moved by her honesty. Not long after, he decides to bring Gail with him to visit Linda. When Krokphone finds out about their plan, he becomes visibly anxious, afraid that Linda might reveal the truth about what really happened in the past. At the same time, Guy and Gail finally sit down for dinner with Linda. It is a simple moment, but for Linda, it means everything. For so long, she could only see her children through Gail's live streams, and now they are all together again. After dinner, Guy speaks with Linda privately. He makes it clear that he does not want to take sides between his parents. Instead, he wants to find his own path and live independently near campus. Linda respects his decision and gently reminds him to thank Liu for helping bring them back together. On another day, Guy invites Liu to take a walk in the park as a way of showing his gratitude. During that time, they finally clear up the misunderstandings from their past. For the first time, things feel lighter between them, and they decide to start over as friends. Not long after, Guy begins searching for an empty room in Liu's apartment building, hoping to move closer. Unfortunately, every unit is already taken. Just then, Saint shows up and immediately becomes suspicious. He believes Guy is only trying to move there to get closer to Lou. Saint tells him to look elsewhere, insisting there are no available rooms. Seeing how determined Saint is to stop him, Guy starts to view him as a serious rival. Confident in his position, Saint returns to his room, only to be caught off guard. His neighbor is moving out that very day, leaving a vacant unit behind. Suddenly, Saint realizes that Guy might still have a chance to move in, and that thought makes him uneasy. A few days later, the campus is filled with activity as students prepare for an upcoming festival. At the cafeteria, Anne casually mentions that she is not interested in the event and plans to go to the beach instead. She invites Liu to join her, but Guy cannot come along because he has something else to take care of. Before leaving, he reminds Liu to be careful and to refuse any requests related to the festival, worried that someone might take advantage of her. Not long after, Faye approaches Liu and asks her to work as a drink server at the festival. Remembering Guy's warning, Liu refuses, explaining that the outfits are usually too revealing. Faye pretends she had no idea and does not push further, at least not openly. Later, during a lab session, Faye begins to show her true intentions again. Even though they are in the same group, she leaves Liu to handle everything alone. When Liu asks for help, Faye deliberately ignores her. As a result, an accident happens, and a glass container falls, injuring Faye's foot. Liu immediately feels guilty, believing it was her fault. In the treatment room, Faye plays her role perfectly. She acts sad and disappointed, saying she still has not found anyone willing to work as a drink server for the festival. Feeling responsible and unable to say no, Liu eventually agrees to help. She only asks that the outfit be more modest. Faye quickly reassures her, promising that she will try to arrange it with the organizers. Meanwhile, Guy waits outside the treatment room, clearly worried about Liu. When she finally comes out, she lies to him, saying she cannot join the beach trip because she has family matters to take care of. After making sure she is okay, Guy goes back to searching for a place to live near campus, but nothing seems to fit. Saint, who is aware of this, deliberately tells him to look for apartments far away from Liu's place and even sends him a few recommendations. Then the day of the campus festival arrives. Liu and Faye get ready to change into their drink server uniforms, but Liu is immediately disappointed. The outfit is still far more revealing than she expected. Faye pretends she had no idea, acting completely innocent. At the festival grounds, Anne shows up after deciding not to go to the beach, since Liu could not come with her. A friend mentions that they just saw Liu working as a drink server, and that is when Anne realizes she has been lied to. Meanwhile, Liu feels extremely uncomfortable in her outfit, but she pushes herself to continue working. Their senior third is pleased because the more revealing the servers are, the more sales they make. He even boasts about the high tips they are getting from customers. Soon after, Faye approaches him, acting upset and claiming that a customer treated her badly. Without thinking twice, Third tells Liu to take over Faye's position. In his eyes, someone who had plastic surgery does not deserve to be treated with respect. Liu has no choice but to obey, even as she feels humiliated. She ends up doing extra work, constantly cleaning tables while customers treat her poorly. One of them even secretly records her. From a distance, Anne watches everything unfold, growing more and more concerned. At the same time, Guy confronts Saint about the useless apartment recommendations. Just then, Nayam, the caretaker of Liu's apartment building, approaches Guy and informs him about an available unit. Realizing he has been misled, Guy becomes annoyed with Saint. Nam offers to let him sign the rental contract, but before Guy can do anything, he receives news that Liu is in trouble at the festival. Without hesitation, he rushes off, abandoning the contract. When he arrives at campus, Guy immediately steps in to protect Liu. He warns the troublesome customers to leave her alone, making it clear he will not tolerate anyone mistreating her. He then turns his attention toward Faye, giving her a sharp look, fully aware that she set Liu up. Later that night, the chemistry students gather to review the results of the festival. Third proudly announces that this year's sales have reached a record high. He even praises Liu, saying her appearance attracted a lot of customers. But things quickly turn bitter when comments from other students are read out loud. Many of them mock Liu, ridiculing her for her past and calling her nothing more than someone who relied on plastic surgery. Unable to endure the humiliation, Liu quietly walks away. Guy immediately tries to follow her, but he is suddenly stopped by Mock, who challenges him to a drinking contest. The stakes are outrageous. Whoever wins will get Faye. Back to Liu, after returning to her apartment, She immediately calls her mother and breaks down, telling her everything that happened that day. Through tears, she shares how badly she was treated and quietly wishes for a normal life, one where no one laughs at her anymore. Meanwhile, on campus, Guy wins the drinking challenge. As a result, Faye is pushed toward him, but he avoids her and instead calls out everyone for the way they have been treating Liu. His frustration is clear, and he no longer stays silent about it. Later, as Guy walks home with Anne, he vents about how he failed to get a unit in Liu's apartment because of Saint. But when they arrive at the building to check one last time, something unexpected happens. Saint suddenly hands Guy the rental contract along with the key to an available unit. Guy is completely surprised and cannot understand why Saint would do that. Anne simply smiles and points out that Saint might not be as bad as he thinks. That same night, as Guy starts moving his things in, Saint even helps him carry the boxes. The next morning, Liu receives a message from her mother, encouraging her not to lose hope despite everything she has been through. Not long after, she hears a knock on her door. When she opens it, she is greeted by Saint, and to her surprise, Guy is standing right there as well. He has officially become her neighbor. Liu cannot hide her happiness seeing the two of them getting along. Saint explains that he was the one who helped Guy get the unit, while Guy complains that Saint was being overly controlling, even rearranging his room overnight. The three of them then start talking about the department's tradition, where junior students are expected to wear revealing outfits to boost sales during events. Liu admits she wants to put an end to that tradition. Hearing this, both Guy and Saint agree to help her, and they begin preparing everything needed to make her idea work. At campus, they present Liu's idea to the other students, and surprisingly, everyone agrees. Without wasting time, Guy and Saint set up a booth featuring Linda's perfumes to attract customers. Meanwhile, Liu, Faye, and Mimi serve drinks while wearing cute, fully covered animal costumes. Everything seems to be going well until Faye realizes they are just one drink away from beating the previous sales record, the one built on the old revealing concept. At that moment, she suddenly pretends to faint, creating a scene that draws attention from everyone around. As people rush in and start recording, her costume partially opens, revealing more than it should. Quickly reacting, Guy covers her with a cloth and carries her to the treatment room. He begins to suspect that something is not right, but Saint tells him to go back and focus on the festival, saying he will take care of Faye. Later that night, Faye wakes up and is surprised to see Saint still there. For a moment, she assumes he stayed because he cares about her, but Saint makes it clear that he knows the truth. He knows she faked the whole incident to sabotage Liu's plan. He also reveals that he is aware of how she manipulated Mac. Even though Faye tries to deny everything, Saint no longer believes her. He admits that he is tired of her act and warns her that from now on he will be watching her closely, just like Guy. Meanwhile, Guy and Liu are walking around the campus festival when Liu receives a call from Saint, asking where she is. As she explains her location, she accidentally wanders into a speed dating booth and gets pulled into the activity by the crowd. The rules are simple. Anyone who confesses their feelings can leave early with their partner. Without hesitation, Guy joins the game and sits across from Liu. In front of everyone, he suddenly confesses his feelings for her. Liu is completely caught off guard, flustered to the point where she spills her drink. Taking advantage of the situation, Guy quickly helps her leave the booth before things get even more awkward. Since Liu's clothes are now wet, Guy brings her to their department's meeting room so she can change. But just as they are about to leave, the door gets stuck, trapping them inside. After changing, Liu thanks Guy for helping her escape the situation earlier, assuming that his confession was just part of the act. But Guy admits that it was not an act at all. He truly likes her. Liu is left speechless, unsure of how to respond. Luckily, two of their friends manage to open the door. Still flustered, Liu quickly rushes out, pretending she needs to meet Saint. She walks away without looking back, even though her friends try to call her and let her know that Saint is actually standing right outside the room. Later that night, both Liu and Guy find themselves thinking about each other. They each consider sending a message, but in the end, neither of them goes through with it. The next morning, they run into each other outside their rooms. Guy tries to bring up what happened the night before, but Liu avoids the topic and changes the conversation. At campus, Guy tells Anne everything, and she immediately encourages him to win Liu over before Saint does. At the same time, rumors start spreading among the students. Faye's fainting incident becomes a hot topic, and many people begin pairing her with Guy, seeing them as a perfect match with natural beauty and charm. Online comments also start appearing, claiming that Guy and Liu are not a suitable couple because Liu's beauty comes from plastic surgery. After class, Guy tries to talk to Lou again, but she refuses, saying she already has plans with her friends. Later during a lab session, Lou forgets to bring her lab coat. Guy lends her his, secretly slipping a note inside, asking her out on a date. But Lou never notices it. When Guy realizes this, he approaches her and asks her to check the pocket. Lou, not wanting to go through someone else's belongings, simply takes off the coat and hands it back to him. Just like that, his plan fails, leaving him frustrated. Unable to keep his feelings in any longer, Guy finally confronts Lou at a cafe and directly asks her out for the weekend. Lou freezes, unsure of what to say. Before she can respond, Saint shows up, giving her the perfect excuse to leave. Guy grows visibly annoyed, feeling like Saint always interferes between him and Liu. Calmly, Saint points out that Liu is already busy that weekend because she has plans with him. Hearing this, Guy becomes even more determined. He secretly listens in on Lou and her friends, trying to figure out where they're going. Eventually, he learns that Saint plans to take Liu to a perfume museum. Not wanting to lose, Guy starts thinking of a better date idea, something that can impress Liu more and make her choose him instead. On Saturday, Liu goes to a perfume museum with Saint, a place owned by his family. She is genuinely excited, exploring rare fragrances she has never seen before. After leaving the museum, they spend time talking on Saint's rooftop garden. The conversation eventually turns to Guy's confession. Saint brings it up directly and admits that he already knows Liu has feelings for Guy. After some hesitation, Liu finally admits it, but she also explains why she cannot accept Guy's love. She is afraid that being close to her will only bring him pain, just like what happened in middle school when someone who defended her ended up being bullied as well. Because of that fear, she chooses to keep her distance, hoping to protect him from becoming a target. At the same time, Guy is making his own effort. Alongside Anne, he visits their old middle school and takes photos of meaningful places. His plan is simple. He wants to invite Lou on a date there and create new memories to replace the painful ones from the past. When Lou returns to her apartment, she finds a package hanging on her door. Inside are the photos Guy took at their old school. She stands there quietly, unsure how to feel. Not long after, she tells Saint about Guy's invitation. She admits she is confused and does not know what to do. Saint then gives her unexpected advice. He suggests that if she truly wants to reject Guy, she should consider being with someone else. He even puts himself forward, saying that his reputation is not much better than hers. People already see him as trouble, so if they were together, they would not face the same kind of judgment. He asks Lou to give him a chance to prove his sincerity. Hearing this only makes Lou feel even more conflicted, as if her situation has become more complicated than ever. The next morning, Lou runs into Saint at the laundry room. Despite what he said the night before, she acts normal and even jokes around with him. The moment feels light until Guy suddenly shows up carrying a basket of clothes. Seeing Lou and Saint together, he cannot hide his jealousy and tries to separate them. Feeling awkward, Lou quickly leaves. After she is gone, Guy brings up their outing, but Saint responds casually, brushing it off in a way that only makes Guy more irritated. Not long after, Guy receives the package he had given Lou. Inside, he finds her response. She has rejected his invitation. The rejection hits him hard, leaving him discouraged and quiet around campus. Anne notices his mood and tries to cheer him up, reminding him that he still has a chance. Later, in a pop culture class that both Guy and Lou attend, an opportunity appears. The lecturer assigns a film essay project that must be done in pairs. When class ends, Liu struggles to find a partner since most students have already paired up. Mimi suggests that she team up with Guy, who is just about to leave the room. At first, Liu hesitates, but with no other choice, she agrees. For Guy, this is exactly what he hoped for. He smiles, realizing he now has more time to spend with her. But from a distance, Faye watches the moment unfold, clearly unhappy seeing Liu getting closer to him. Wanting to make the most of this chance, Guy checks his savings to prepare for their outing. But his funds are limited, so he decides to take on extra work as a private tutor. When the day of their movie outing finally arrives, Guy turns it into something more by taking Liu to a city festival first. Even so, Liu keeps her distance, refusing to let him buy her food or drinks. At one of the game booths, Guy tries to win her a swan prize by playing a throwing game, but he keeps losing and ends up with nothing more than a small keychain. Meanwhile, Liu tries another game and surprisingly wins a large prize that Guy had been aiming for. Seeing that, Guy just smiles quietly, a little disappointed in himself for not being able to give her something special. As evening approaches, they head to the movie screening area. Liu prepares a spot for them to sit while Guy goes to buy snacks and drinks. But when he returns, Liu immediately pays him back for everything, even though he wanted to treat her. Soon after, the movie starts, but Guy still struggles to break the awkward tension between them. After the movie, Guy refuses to let the night end like that. He insists on taking Liu to dinner before going home. When they arrive at a fancy restaurant, Liu is surprised by how expensive it looks. Guy insists on paying for everything and asks her not to refuse, trying his best to make the night meaningful. While Guy is busy choosing the menu, Liu steps away to the restroom. There, she receives a call from Linda, who mentions that she has brought food to Guy's apartment and invites Liu to join them. During the call, Linda also reveals that Guy is not in a good financial situation, even though he always refuses her help. Hearing this, Liu quickly returns to the table and is shocked to see Guy already placing his order. She panics and asks him to cancel everything and go home instead. Although confused, Guy follows her as she insists on leaving. On the way back, Liu finally explains that she knows about his financial struggles and does not want him to spend money on something so expensive. Hearing that, Guy starts teasing her, saying that she actually cares about him. Liu quickly denies it and tries to explain herself, but somehow the mood between them softens. The tension fades a little, and Guy cannot help but feel happy. When they arrive at the apartment, Linda is already there waiting for them. The three of them decide to eat together, but Guy realizes he forgot to prepare utensils. Liu immediately offers to bring some from her own place. With Linda there, the atmosphere becomes warmer and more relaxed. Without realizing it, Liu and Guy start getting along again, laughing and joking as they clean up after the meal. Linda quietly captures the moment, clearly enjoying seeing them together. Eventually, Liu realizes she has gotten too comfortable and decides to leave. Guy helps her carry the utensils she brought over. Before she goes, Linda attaches the small swan keychain that Guy won earlier onto Liu's bag. After returning to his room, Guy is teased by Linda about how close he has become with Liu. This time, he does not deny it. Instead, he feels grateful, knowing that Linda helped ease the distance between them. Back in her room, Liu receives photos from Linda, capturing the warm moments they shared earlier. Looking at them, she cannot help but smile as she quietly relives the time she spent with Guy. But that peaceful moment does not last long. Soon she gets a message from Faye, asking her to meet at a cafe. When Liu arrives, Faye quickly reveals her true intention. She confesses that she has feelings for Guy and asks Liu to help her win his heart. The request hits Liu hard. Deep down, she knows she has feelings for Guy too, but at the same time, she feels unable to refuse Faye. When Liu asks when those feelings started, Faye gives an answer that sounds convincing on the surface, claiming it began when Guy protected her during the drinking challenge. She then earnestly asks Liu to support her. Caught between her own feelings and her sense of guilt, Liu can only stand there in silence, unsure of what to do. The next day in the lab, Anne tries to create an opportunity for Guy and Liu by suggesting a partner switch. But before anything can happen, Faye steps in and insists on pairing up with Guy, ignoring his refusal. She walks away, leaving Liu behind. The situation frustrates both Guy and Anne, while Liu watches from a distance, unable to hide her jealousy. After the class, Faye continues to follow Guy, refusing to give up. She acts pitiful, saying she only wants to get closer to him. But Guy sees through her behavior. He makes it clear that he has no interest in being close to her, especially knowing how manipulative she can be. Even after being rejected, Faye does not back down. Instead, she turns the situation against Liu, making it seem like Liu is the reason Guy dislikes her. She expresses disappointment, claiming that Liu has not helped her at all. Feeling guilty once again, Liu eventually gives in and promises to help. Not long after, Liu invites Guy to lunch. He agrees without hesitation, even feeling hopeful as he notices her warmer attitude. But when they arrive at the restaurant, he is surprised to see that Faye has also been invited. Liu quietly steps away to the restroom, leaving the two of them alone. Inside, Liu struggles with her emotions. She knows she is about to give up someone she truly likes. Meanwhile, at the table, Guy grows more frustrated with Faye, realizing that she is taking advantage of Liu's kindness. He confronts her about her real intentions, and this time, Faye drops the act. She openly suggests that Liu is not suitable for him, pointing out her past and her reliance on plastic surgery. In her mind, someone like Guy should be with someone naturally beautiful and popular like herself, someone who fits the image that others expect. She even sees their potential relationship as a way to gain attention and profit from their popularity. Hearing all of this only pushes Guy further away. Disgusted by her mindset, he decides to leave and goes after Liu. At that moment, Guy asks Liu why she is pushing him toward Faye. Liu breaks down as she explains the truth. She believes she is not good enough for someone like him, someone everyone sees as perfect. Guy tries to reassure her, telling her not to care about what others think. But instead of accepting his words, Liu forces herself to say something that hurts them both. She claims that she does not love him. That answer crushes Guy. At the same time, Liu leaves in tears and finds comfort in Saint's arms. She tells him everything that happened, admitting that even though she feels guilty for rejecting Guy, she believes it is the best decision for both of them. Elsewhere, Guy tries to deal with the pain in his own way. He ends up drinking at a bar with Anne by his side. As he opens up, he admits how confused he feels. Liu was crying when she rejected him, and to him, that does not make sense. If she truly did not love him, she should have felt relieved, not heartbroken. Before he can process it further, Third shows up and starts insulting Liu, mocking her past and her surgery. That is all it takes for Guy to lose control. He immediately lashes out and attacks him.
แต่มีแต่ความคิดแย่ๆ
อะไรของพี่เนี่ย
ดูถูกหลิวอยู่ได้
Meanwhile, Liu reveals to Saint that the real reason she turned Guy down is because Faye likes him. Hearing this, Saint starts to question everything, wondering when Faye suddenly became involved in their relationship. In the middle of their conversation, Liu receives an urgent call from Anne, asking for Linda's number because Guy has been taken to the police station after the fight. Without hesitation, Liu rushes there. At the station, she learns that Guy got into the fight to defend her from being insulted. Hearing that, she steps forward and demands that Third apologize. Guy supports her, making it clear he is willing to press charges if necessary. With no other option, Third finally apologizes, and the situation is resolved. After everything settles, Anne heads home, leaving Liu and Linda together. Linda asks Guy to leave with Saint so she can speak privately with Liu. At a cafe, Linda gently asks about Liu's true feelings, knowing she recently rejected Guy. This time, Liu is honest. She admits that she does have feelings for him, but she does not see herself as someone worthy of being by his side. She believes he deserves someone better. Linda listens carefully, then reminds her of something simple but important. No one in this world is perfect. Everyone has their own flaws. Elsewhere, Faye continues maintaining her image online, greeting her fans through a live stream. But once it ends, her reality shows. She checks her weight and becomes upset after gaining a little. Unable to accept it, she goes to the restroom and forces herself to throw up, revealing the pressure she constantly puts on herself. Back at the apartment, Guy returns with Saint. Seeing Guy's injuries, Saint offers to treat them, and Guy ends up in his room. There, he notices something unexpected. Saint shares the same interest in perfume as Liu. That realization hits him hard. For a moment, Guy begins to doubt himself. He wonders if Liu would actually be happier with someone like Saint. The next day on campus, Faye approaches Liu and the others with a bright expression, casually announcing that Guy has contacted her and will be working on an assignment with her. Not long after, Anne arrives and reveals something unexpected. She says she saw Faye returning to a rundown neighborhood, not the wealthy area Faye has always claimed as her home. Faye quickly tries to cover it up, making excuses to keep her image from falling apart. At another time, Liu receives a bouquet of flowers as a surprise. Around the same moment, she also gets a message from Guy asking to meet. When they finally see each other, Guy admits that he has been selfish, especially for pushing her to accept his feelings. Because of that, he decides to respect her wishes and move forward the way she wants. He even agrees to work with Faye on the assignment. Thinking that Liu might have feelings for Saint, Guy says he only wants her to be happy, even if that means she ends up with someone else. Later, Liu goes out with Saint, who has been waiting for her. Around campus, people start seeing them as a good match, mostly because both of them carry a certain negative reputation. That night, they spend time together at a park, talking about many things. When the topic turns to Guy, Liu can no longer hold back her emotions and begins to cry. She apologizes to Saint for not being able to return his feelings. Even so, Saint stays calm and supportive. He tells her to follow her heart and encourages her to go to Guy and clear up everything between them. After thanking him, Liu rushes to Guy's room, but there is no answer. She tries calling him, but still gets nothing. Worried, she contacts Linda to ask where he might be. Liu then heads to Linda's house, where she finds Guy learning how to make perfume. Guy is surprised to see her there, but Liu does not hesitate. She finally confesses her true feelings, admitting everything she has been holding back. Hearing that, Guy is overwhelmed with happiness. At last, his feelings are returned, and they embrace, officially becoming a couple. On their way back to the apartment, they run into Saint at the laundry area. Guy excitedly shares the news, saying that Liu is now his girlfriend. Saint simply smiles and says he already knew. Guy is confused by that response and looks to Liu for an explanation, but she just smiles without saying anything. The next morning, Guy invites Liu to a campus party where couples are given matching rings. Liu agrees, but she also tells him that she plans to inform Faye about their relationship. Concerned, Guy reminds her to be careful around Faye. At campus, Liu approaches Faye and apologizes, explaining that she is now officially dating Guy and can no longer help her get closer to him. At first, Faye looks furious and almost lashes out, but in an instant she changes her expression. She puts on a smile and pretends to congratulate them, hiding whatever she truly feels inside. The story then shifts into Faye's past, revealing a very different side of her life. She grows up in a modest family, constantly pressured by her mother to appear perfect in front of others. It is never enough to just be smart. She is also expected to have the ideal body and a beautiful face. Whenever she falls short, she faces harsh treatment. With no money for cosmetic surgery, Faye has to struggle on her own to achieve the beauty she has now. Over time, her mother's relentless expectations shape her into someone who no longer understands sincerity or genuine connection. Back in the present, the campus party is in full swing. Guy and Liu enjoy the night together while waiting for the highlight of the event, a couple ring game. When the game finally begins, they are both shocked to realize their rings do not match. In a sudden twist, Faye appears wearing the matching ring meant for Guy. She confidently steps in and begins presenting a fake romantic story about the two of them to everyone around. It turns out she had already switched the rings before the event even started. Guy struggles to control his anger, especially when Faye suddenly crosses another line and forces a kiss on him. After the party ends, Faye retreats to the restroom, immediately cleaning herself as if she wants to erase any trace of that moment. Liu, who happens to be there, cannot hold back her confusion and questions Faye's behavior. This time, Faye drops the act completely. She admits that she has grown to hate Liu, especially because Liu comes from a more privileged background and had the chance to change her appearance more easily. Faye confesses that she was the one who spread Liu's old photos and even used Mac as part of her plan to make Liu's life miserable. Hearing all of this leaves Liu heartbroken, especially since she had truly considered Faye her first real friend. The next day at the apartment, Liu opens up to Guy about everything that happened. She admits how painful it is to feel betrayed by someone she trusted so deeply. Guy does his best to comfort her, gently reminding her that he has actually been by her side for much longer than she realized. In the past, he had secretly protected her, standing up to those who bullied her without ever taking credit. Liu is stunned by this revelation and begins to see just how much he has cared for her all along. Not long after, Saint arrives and playfully interrupts the moment, teasing them for getting lost in their own world. But the situation quickly turns serious again as they remember what Faye has done. Guy then asks for Saint's help, determined to come up with a plan to finally put an end to Faye's manipulation. At another point, Guy, Liu, Saint, and Anne come together to figure out the best way to stop Faye from continuing her manipulative behavior. They begin digging through her social media, collecting anything that might reveal the truth about her. During the discussion, Guy recalls something important. He once saw Faye go to the restroom and force herself to throw up after eating. With enough information in hand, they decide to move forward with a plan. To draw Faye in, Guy starts acting unusually affectionate toward her in public. This quickly grabs attention, and Paula, along with Faye's other friends, begin to assume that the two are now in a relationship. Taking it further, Guy gives Faye a cake as if they are celebrating. Even though she is on a strict diet, Faye forces herself to eat it just to maintain her perfect image in front of everyone. Not long after, she excuses herself and rushes to the restroom, where she immediately throws up the food she just ate. Liu quietly follows her and tries to convince her to come clean about all the lies. But Faye refuses to listen. Instead, she continues to praise herself while putting Liu down. She even admits that she has been using Paula and Mimi, treating them like nothing more than fans. What she does not realize is that Liu records everything. Armed with that recording, Liu confronts her and threatens to expose the truth if Faye refuses to stop. But out in the campus hallway, Faye remains confident, believing Liu has already deleted the evidence. She approaches Guy again and pretends they are still a couple. At that very moment, everyone on campus receives a notification. The recording of Faye's confession is suddenly circulating online, revealing how she has been manipulating people for popularity. Faye immediately blames Lou, but this time, no one believes her anymore. One by one, her own friends begin to speak up, exposing more of her behavior. With her image collapsing and no one left on her side, Faye lashes out in anger at everyone around her. By the next day, social media is flooded with discussions about Lou, Faye, and Guy. While Lou and Guy choose to stay silent despite the attention, Faye becomes increasingly overwhelmed as her carefully built reputation falls apart. At one point, she receives a red box, thinking it is a gift from a fan. But when she opens it, she finds disturbing photos of herself taken secretly, along with a dead rat inside. The shock pushes her even further into panic and fear. Meanwhile, Saint informs Lou that those photos of Faye are now spreading online. Lou grows worried, especially after hearing that someone is planning to attack Faye with acid. Realizing the danger, Lou and her friends quickly gather to track her down and stop anything from happening. To move faster, Guy and Saint focus on searching for information online, while Lou and the others head out to find both Faye and the person planning the attack. From the clues they gather, Guy and Saint begin to suspect Mimi. As soon as Lou hears this, she rushes off to find her. When they finally meet, Mimi admits that she was the one who spread Faye's voice recording from the restroom, driven by hurt after everything Faye had done to her. Liu grows even more concerned, worried that Mimi might also be planning something worse. She quickly checks Mimi's bag but finds nothing dangerous. That confirms Mimi is not the one planning to harm Faye. With Mimi ruled out, Guy and Saint start thinking more carefully. Whoever is behind this must understand chemicals, especially acid. To dig deeper, they visit a cafe that Faye often goes to and ask about the people she met on the day of her lab accident. The staff recall a man who had a strong chemical smell that day. This leads them to suspect Mock, especially since his lab coat had been exposed to acid around the same time. Acting fast, Guy contacts Film and asks him to question Mock directly. When Film confronts Mock, the truth starts to unfold. Mock explains that he was actually wearing Jerry's lab coat that day. That detail changes everything. With this new information, Guy and Saint finally realize that Jerry is the one planning to attack Faye. At the same time, Faye is out searching for her missing cat. While wandering the streets, she runs into Jerry, who claims to have found it. But instead of helping, Jerry reveals his anger and disappointment. He confesses that he has always been the one behind the fan account that supported her and defended her online. In his mind, he believed they shared a special bond. But when Faye chose to use him and then turned her attention to Guy, his feelings twisted into something darker. Now he wants to destroy the very beauty she values the most. Realizing his intention, Faye panics and runs, but Jerry chases after her. Meanwhile, Liu and the others are desperately searching for Faye, fearing the worst. Not long after, Liu finally finds her in a narrow alley, sitting there in distress. Liu quickly checks the liquid around her, trying to make sure she has not been attacked. Once she confirms that it is not acid, she tries to calm Faye down and reassure her that her face is unharmed. But instead of relief, Faye reacts with anger, accusing Liu of enjoying her downfall. The tension boils over and Liu finally snaps, slapping Faye in an attempt to wake her up to reality. At the same time, Guy and the others manage to catch Jerry before he can escape.
ไม่มีอีกแล้ว
The next morning, Lou visits Faye in the hospital. Faye is confused, unable to understand why Lou would still care after everything that has happened. Lou explains that she simply does not want Faye to feel alone, the way she once did when everyone turned against her. That sincerity finally reaches Faye, and for the first time, she begins to reflect on her actions and promises to change. Sometime later, Faye slowly reintegrates with Lou and the others, who eventually choose to forgive her. Elsewhere, Linda meets her ex-husband again, this time as a business partner after they agree to work together. In that moment, Krogphone also takes responsibility for his past actions and offers a sincere apology. As the story comes to a close, Lou and Guy are seen enjoying a quiet date at a night market. In a simple but meaningful gesture, Lou finally expresses her feelings by handing him a note written with a chemical formula that represents love. Guy understands immediately, and the moment leaves him genuinely happy, knowing her feelings are finally returned. So the moral of the story is, if your love life needs plastic surgery, fake fan accounts, speed dating, ring swapping, acid investigations, and perfume drama, maybe just text your crush normally and drink some water.